and that is inside and outside of turn. Before we start in our application of our techniques to the syllabus figures, I would like Heather to describe Foxtrot for us.
Foxtrot is a very linear directional dance with rotation. Now the difference between a waltz lowering action and a foxtrot lowering action is in Foxtrot 90% of the time we are in a passing action, where our feet are passing and moving across the floor, whereas in waltz, most of the time we are closing our feet. So that our lowering action changes because when we're lowering through the leg, we have a much more subtle lowering action. And then when we are rising, we are thinking of more of a projective rise. And what I like to think about and talk to people about when I'm teaching is, in Foxtrot, one of the easiest things to focus on is that we're dancing under a low bridge, okay, which is 2 or 3 inches above our head, and we must never vertically pop up through the feet, but think of skimming the feet across the floor and projecting our movement across the floor. So it's very limited rise. The rise we take through the feet is projecting forward. And that is what we feel Foxtrot is.
Step number 1, the preparation step to feather step. So we'd like to demonstrate it for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, slow, quick, quick. From a different angle, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, slow, quick, quick. And now I'd like to demonstrate some of the man's technique. So gentlemen, first of all, let's talk about the preparation step. I'll face the camera for this example. What I'd like you to feel, first of all, is that you have a nice flex in the knees. You don't want to be too locked in the legs. Now, as I take a small step to my right, I want you to feel that as you change weight, you're going to turn the entire torso and base area. My feet are still going to be pointed in the direction I want to travel, but I'm feeling that there's a torquing action occurring from my base, hips, body, and of course my shoulders, and my head will turn to the left. Okay? Now as we're doing this, I'd like you to pay close attention to my left foot. I'm going to shape the left foot as it draws in, and then I'm going to step forward. So I'll do that from a different angle. So if you'll watch, as I change weight, my knees are slightly flexed. I'll small step to the side. I wind up, bringing the left foot in, and we move forward. Now, what we want to focus on in this wind up is that as we wind up with our partner, we wind up as a team. We want to try not to over-rotate ourselves, gentlemen, so that we turn away from the ladies. We want to keep a parallel position. And also, this enables us to produce more power and puts us in a position later on, which we'll discuss, for one of our ranges of motion. As we know, when we throw a ball, we generate more energy by creating a torquing action and wind up to be able to release greater energy. Now, I'll take it from this side position this time. Now, as I wind up, here's where our linear motion comes in. I'm going to feel that my center of gravity and my standing leg, which in this case is my right leg, is flexing, and I'm projecting forward at that point. Can you see that? So we want to be aware our blocks of weight are lined up. We want to try not to pitch our torsos forward over the first step on our left foot, or of course the opposite, where I stick just the left foot out and I have not kept my blocks of weight lined up. Okay? Now, once we have completed the preparation step, what I want to feel from here, because I have a wind-up, I am now in a position to use my range of motion. So as I'm going through my left foot, I'm feeling that I'm unwinding through that left leg, the knee, thigh, and hip, and as I transfer weight into my right foot, that is going to be at the point where I'm going to convert into pendulum swing. So I'm going to feel, once I land on the slow, that my right hip is slightly lower than my left. Okay? So I'll try that one more time. So I have a 1, 2, 3, 4. Now from here I'm rotating through my base, changing at that point to my pendulum swing. Okay? Now from this point, from my right leg to my left, I'm going to be changing the angle of my hips and my torso, shoulders, and head. And this is where our pendulum swing occurs. We have quick, and as we go to the next quick, we maintain that. And the metronomic swing is where the lady stretches off of our shape. So I'll try that from a different angle. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll see that I'm rotating through the base, changing the angle. My right hip is slightly lower than my left. I let the left leg go out into position, and I stretch quick, quick. Now, a couple of things that we want to be careful not to do is where quite often I'll see that people will not connect their weight to that point, and they'll simply pitch their torso over the quick, quick. So as you can see, there was no pendulum action, and the result of my body pitching forward onto the lady is going to force the lady backwards. So I want to make sure that as I rotate from my rotational swing, our 4 ranges of motion, we connect down slow. Now from here I'm letting the legs simply go out ahead. Now this is difficult because I'm not asking you to lean back. The projection of movement is still moving across the floor, but there's an angle. And that's where our pendulum swing comes in. Now, what I'd like to also discuss with you is that quite often when we leave the rotational swing on too long, we call this a banana feather. Seems like a funny name, but what happens is this. I rotate for too long a period of time, and then all of a sudden I go off course. So of course my main objective is to travel in a linear direction. Now, once I go from my range of motion to the count slow, I want to shut the rotational swing off and then go into a pendulum swing quick, quick. That way it enables me to stay in my linear direction. And now I'd like Heather to describe some of the ladies' technique.
The ladies' technique for this action, for the feather step, first of all, what I'd like to talk about is making sure that our weight is connected into the floor, because the biggest problem when we take our preparation is that I see is that the ladies come out of the feet and then try and connect actually on the slow before we commence the feather. So what we must do is on the wind up, first of all our head is to the left of the spine. Now then, as we transfer, you can see that I'm allowing my body to rotate around my spine, okay? But I am not turning my spine off my foot. So from here, watch, as I'm rotating, my head stays left, but my lower back can actually rotate without changing the direction of the spine. So as I transfer weight, you can see I'm connected into my left leg. Now then, as I step back, what I'm focusing on is my head is still left of the spine. As I transfer weight, I'm going from a rotary action onto the slow to an angular change. Now then, what we've got to be careful of, ladies, is when we go into the angular change on the slow, okay, what we must not do is once I go to that position is change the direction of my spine and center. All right? What we've got to feel is as we rotate and we get to the leg, you can see my right hip is open, preparing for the man to step outside partner. My head is not on my right side, it's to the left of my spine. Now then, a very, very important point that we must remember here is as I take my right leg back, it is not straight back underneath my spine this way. I actually am going to open up my track of my legs so that my energy now is passing on the outside of my right hip. Quick, quick. So I'll just dance that for you again. So we have the preparation, we land, and now my energy is being taken diagonally across my hips, quick, quick. Now then, another key point which makes Foxtrot very, very different from waltz when we're moving back is we have body rise, no foot rise, which means when the man is rising up through his feet, what we must not do, all right, is as I get to my left leg and I feel the man rising, is go up with his center, which would actually change my footwork to a toe. And the footwork for the lady throughout this, technically, is toe heel on every single step. So as I get to my right leg, I'm taking care not to drop my heel before my moving leg passes, but I'm going to feel the stretch through my center and not through my feet, okay? So let me just show you this again. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, slow. Now I'm going to think about my head taking my metronomic action, quick, quick. And now I'd like to ask Victor to join me, and we'll try this together.
Okay. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, slow, quick, quick. Okay. Now Heather's brought up many good points for the ladies. Now, gentlemen, what I'd like to do just simply on the shoulders to put all of this together is that here's our wind-up. Now from here, as we rotate through our range of motion, can you see that there's a connecting point to this axis point of turn? Now from here we project, as Heather has told the ladies, diagonally back for the ladies. Now gentlemen, you have exactly the same action. So in order to dance the hips dynamically as we're speaking here through rotation and pendulum, my track will not go perfectly straight, but will go slightly diagonally forward onto my left foot, enabling my hips to change angle and of course with my body. Now again, as I've mentioned earlier, what I'd like you to not do, this would be the incorrect method, is where I'm going to pitch my weight forward without using a pendulum action. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, where I pitch my weight forward. Then of course I'm going to be out of control for my next lowering, not to mention I'm knocking the lady's weight backwards. So we'll demonstrate that for you. The correct method one more time. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, slow, quick, quick. And that is the feather step.